What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today I want to talk about import taxes in Africa because there's some people complaining about how much things cost there, and the truth is it's expensive. It can be expensive to ship things from America to any individual African country. But I want to explain how the import situation is not the reason why Africa is gonna have issues having a come up because they can't export Western goods. That's stupid, right? It's actually a good thing. And it seems harsh because you got to pay the short term. You got to pay up front. You got to pay a little bit of money, but it actually encourages local businesses to be able to make and produce those very same products without having competition from the Western world and their big, mega, ultra, massive corporations that no local company could compete with. You see, all those tariffs and taxes that you pay when you ship things from America, that's because a lot of African countries, along with a lot of other countries, their governments don't subsidize these mega multi-billion-dollar corporations. I'm not sure if y'all understand what subsidizing means. It means that the government gives our tax money, you know how we get taxed in America 3, 4, 5 times on the same dollar? The government gives that money to these corporations so that they can operate, on a loss. Because a lot of these companies, they operate on a loss, right? Meaning they're not making a profit. In order for them to continue because their business is essential or because they're providing an essential service, the government would just give them money, say, hey, you know what? We'll help you out, in your business. Eventually you'll make a profit and then you'll pay us back, at some point, somehow, right? With the jobs that you create, with the businesses, the side business that you create because of your business or whatnot, right? So because America and the Western world have 400 to 500 years head start, with 1,000% profit because they didn't have no overhead because, we were slaves and we were working for free. They've had a pretty good head start on most of the industrial nations, right? And because Africa is still the grocery store for the Western world, and with anybody who's paying attention to the world will see that Africa is currently on a mission to detach the parasite of the Western world from them so that they can use their own natural resources and so that their businesses can grow within their own countries and don't have to be bombarded by Amazon and Google and all that stuff, even though those countries are there and they will compete. But in order for African countries to be able to compete competitively, with other countries, to give them the ability and the space to grow, you need to enforce certain laws that encourages that to happen. Meaning you can't open the markets for Western companies to come in and be able to send all their cheap goods to make it so easy and convenient for the local people to purchase. Because what's going to happen is a local person will look at a Amazon product, let's say they can get it, right? Or they'll look at something from America and they'll say, well, I can get that, for this much cheaper than I can get it locally, right? So any normal person is gonna buy the cheaper one, right? We're not thinking about economics. We're not thinking about, damn, let me buy this because I know this is a local and then I'm gonna be helping out my economy and that ultimately in the long run is gonna benefit me, my children, my grandchildren. That's not how people think, right? They're thinking right now, that's cheaper than that, right? And corporations know that. So what they'll do is they'll flood the market with cheaper products, right? Closing and shutting down local businesses. And then once they take over, then they'll hike the prices up. Same way when Walmart moved into your community, right? Same way when all the big box stores moved into your local communities, shut down all your mom and pop stores, and now you're forced to go to Walmart to buy everything. Some people are forced to go to Walmart to go grocery shopping because what they did was when they came into your communities, they undercut the prices, right? Because they can afford to do that because they're subsidized by the government, right? So they have billions upon billions of their own money plus billions upon billions of the taxpayers' money to make sure that they can outcompete any local business. Same thing that they do here, same thing they do in Africa. It's just on a massive scale. Like in Nigeria, a big problem in Nigeria is the generators, right? The reason why the industry, a lot, and this probably goes for a few other countries, but who import generators. But importing generators is big business, right? You make a lot of money importing these generators. So they bring in generators, right? So that means the local power companies and they can't compete with these cheap generators you can get and you can power everything, and there's money to be made when importing certain products, right? Which keeps the economy down, because that means there's no incentive for people to create power companies, to create grids, to power all these houses and these businesses, because you could just go buy a generator down the street, put some petrol in it, and bam, you're running, which is an issue Nigeria is tackling right now. Another issue Nigeria had to tackle, certain foods, right? Like chicken, right? Chicken was a big issue. Nigeria has a local chicken that's way more healthier, right? Plentiful and all that. But they don't encourage people to farm. It's not encouraged to farm there because people are importing, right? They're importing chicken from foreign countries, undercutting the local markets, right? So yeah, it could be more convenient for somebody who wants to travel over there. You know, if you're an American, you're making American money, and you don't, your money is not subject to, or is not moved by the local economy, then you can complain and, oh, it costs this, it costs this. But if you're from that place, right? If you're from that place, you're gonna have an issue, right? Because everything that happens as far as export, import, taxes, it affects you directly, right? And the thing is, a lot of those people there didn't know that. A lot of people don't understand how things work, because this age of information just started, so people are just becoming aware of what's going on, all right? So if I wanted to be a cologne company in Kenya, and I want to make my own cologne, right? I shouldn't have to compete with an outside cologne company that's going to bring in the same product for half the price. I could never get into that business and make a made in Kenya cologne company. If I was in Ghana, right, and I wanted to make my own, chocolate bar, right? How can I compete, even though Ghana is the #1 place for cocoa that makes chocolate? How can I compete with the Swiss when the Swiss come here, buy my chocolate for under market value, send it back to Switzerland, process it, wrap it up, bring it back, charge me 10 times more, right? But at the same time, it's still cheaper than any chocolate that can be made in that country. So it's overly expensive, and it's still undercutting the local market. So there's no incentive to get in the business because you can't compete, right? That's the problem with these big mega companies, right? So Africa, they're trying to deter exporting outside goods into a continent that does not need any outside goods. Everything Africa needs and want is in Africa. So African governments are encouraging people to buy African, buy local, to support the local businesses, to support their local economies, to prop them up, to get the money circulating within their communities so that they can grow like everybody else. Because unlike America and the West, the rest of the world didn't have 500 years of free slave labor from Africans. They didn't have that. They didn't have think about it. 500, you want to talk about a head start. 500 years of free labor. Head start. Every one of these multinational, multi-trillion-dollar corporations are the parent companies of the same companies that enslaved us. Keep that in mind, okay? So yeah, shit can be expensive there. But like I said, world travelers don't complain about that. You know how to do that. You ship in bulk. If you wanna get something, look for it in Africa. You'll find it. It's there somewhere. So you just gotta have a little savviness about you. That's all. When you go to Africa and you want to do something in Africa, you should be thinking about everything should be local. You should be thinking about operating locally. If you can't get it locally, don't worry about it. You probably don't even really need it, right? If you can't get it locally, you probably don't need it, right? And if you need it that bad, stay in America, where you can get it, where you can get taxed 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, right? And then you can purchase it. And then when you purchase it, you'll get taxed again. So I mean, that's just what it is, and that's how the world works, right? So if you are considering going to Africa and you think that, if you want to ship a bunch of stuff here, this is what I tell you. This is my advice to you. If you're coming to Africa and it's really something that you want to take with you and you want to bring it the cheapest way possible, what you do is when you fly over here, you get an extra bag and you put all that shit in the bag, right? You put it all in the bag. You just make sure you don't go overweight. And sometimes it's even worth paying the extra bag fee to stock the things that you want when you go on over there, because it's going to be there when you get there. That's a technique a lot of people use, especially if you're not shipping in big bulk. Because what a lot of people do is, let's say you got a couple people that in whatever African country you're going to. What you do is y'all all go in together, and you go into, maybe you get a shipping container, right? Or you ship from one of these corporations that that do this. There's many corporations in America ran by Africans, right, who have businesses making sure that it's easy for you to ship your goods to whatever African country without paying a bunch of money, because they have deals with these governments, with these companies, with the Port Authority and all that stuff. So there's ways to do it. You just have to know how to do it. You can't just hop on a plane and go, and then when shit ain't running like America, and then complain and wonder why this is that. Everything's not like America. The world is different out there. And so if you don't expand your mind and understand that when you in Rome, you do as the Romans do, then you're just setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. All right. So like I said, if you want to ship something to Africa, if it's that important, take it with you when you go, right? Or get with a group of people and ship in bulk and ship in a group so you can share the tariff prices. And keep in mind, a lot of these prices are forced by America. America makes sure that it's not convenient for you to go to Africa, do anything. It's important that they make sure that you cannot easily do business in Africa as a black person. It's part of the program, all right? So you have to take all of that in consideration when in Africa, all right? Because white people, the Western world, they're not giving up them resources without a fight. They know it don't belong to them. They don't care. They're gonna take what they're gonna take. This is the part of their culture, and they're gonna use every mechanism they can to make it as difficult as possible for black people to go to their homeland and operate smoothly and effectively. All right, keep that in mind whenever you're doing anything. Anyway, that's all I got to say. This Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.